Hey everyone, welcome to SideQuest English, the podcast where we step away from the boring textbooks to explore fascinating topics, one random deep dive at a time. Today, we are looking at, something that affects almost every single person listening.
Oh, absolutely. It's unavoidable, really.
Right. I mean, imagine for a second that your boss calls you into their office tomorrow morning and they tell you that they are officially canceling all work from home days.
Just boom back to the office.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be at your desk, under those bright fluorescent lights 5 days a week.
I think a lot of people would panic.
They would. And for a lot of people, the data shows that this feels mathematically identical to being handed an 8% pay cut.
Wow, 8%, that is huge.
Yep. Right. You'd probably think about quitting on the spot. And as we look at the landscape of the future of work in the year 2026, we see that millions of people actually did quit.
Yeah, that 8% figure is a really perfect place to start because for years, the whole conversation around the future of work was just a giant guessing game.
Oh, total chaos. Just opinions everywhere.
Exactly. We had opinions, we had angry articles and corporate mandates being thrown around, but now sitting here in 2026, the dust has finally settled.
Which is nice, right? No more guessing.
No more guessing at all. We have a massive mountain of hard data. We're talking global surveys and deep research spanning from 2024 to 2026.
So we finally have actual answers.
Yes, we finally have the answers to the three biggest questions of our professional lives: where we work, when we work, and who we work with.
The where, when, and who. I love that structure. It's so clear.
It makes it easy to break down, right?
Yeah, and this is not just some abstract business theory. Like, if you are listening to this right now on your morning commute, or maybe, while you are making lunch in your kitchen on a work-from-home day, this data matters to you.
It absolutely does. It is the invisible architecture of your daily routine.
Right. It affects your mental health, how fast you get promoted, and even how much stress you carry around every day.
Exactly. So let's jump straight into the where.
Let's do it. Because we all remember those intense battles a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. The return to office wars.
Yeah. Companies were demanding that everyone return to the office, and employees were fighting tooth and nail to stay home.
The tension was incredibly high back then. A lot of executives honestly believed that if people were not physically in the building, they simply were not working.
Right, the whole "if I can't see you, you're slacking off" mentality.
Exactly. But the 2026 data shows us the final result of that battle. And, the hybrid model did not collapse.
It didn't fade away like some people predicted.
Nope, it won completely. According to Gallup's 2025 data, we actually see that between 51 and 53% of remote-capable employees in the U.S. have settled into a permanent hybrid schedule.
Wait, over half?
Over half.
Wow. Over half the people who have jobs that can be done on a computer are doing a mix of both. Some days in the office, some days at home.
Yeah, that is a massive portion of the workforce.
So what about the extremes on either side? Like the people who are always home or always in the office?
Well, the extremes have really shrunk. Only about 28% of these workers are fully remote, meaning they never step foot in an office.
Okay, 28%.
And an even smaller group, just 21%, are fully on-site every single day. So the middle ground really is the new standard.
That makes a lot of sense.
And if we zoom out from just the United States and look at the whole world, Stanford University research gives us a really fascinating number.
Ooh, what's the number?
Globally, employees average 1.27 work-from-home days a week.
1.27 days. That is a very specific number.
I know, it sounds weird, right?
It does, but it tells a story, doesn't it? I mean, it means we aren't splitting the week perfectly in half.
Right. Most people globally are maybe taking one full day at home, perhaps a Friday,
Yeah, everyone loves a work-from-home Friday.
Exactly. And then maybe they work from home for just one afternoon during the rest of the week. That gets you to that 1.27 average.
Okay, so the most important part about that 1.27 number is probably not just the amount, but how stable it is.
You hit the nail on the head. The Stanford research highlights that this number has been flat since 2023.
So it's not a trend that's dying out.
Not at all. It is not moving up and it is not moving down. The debate is over.
Businesses have literally signed new 10-year leases based on this reality.
Yes. And people have bought houses based on this reality. We have found the permanent baseline.
That is wild. Let's go back to that 8% pay cut idea I mentioned at the start, because that really shocked me when I read it.
It's a powerful statistic.
Yeah, because when we talk about how much people value this new baseline, the Stanford research actually put a real financial price tag on it.
They did. They found that employees value this flexibility as much as an 8% pay raise.
I mean, think about the math of that for a second. If you make $50,000 a year, 8% is $4,000.
Right.
People value working from home in their sweatpants a couple of days a week as much as a $4,000 cash bonus. That is incredible.
Well, you have to consider what they are actually saving, right? It's not just sweatpants.
True.
They are saving the cost of gasoline, they're saving the wear and tear on their cars, and the price of buying a $12 sandwich for lunch every day.
Oh man, the expensive office lunches really add up.
They do. But more than the money, they are saving time and mental energy. Like, if your commute is 45 minutes each way.
Which is pretty standard for a lot of cities.
Exactly. That is an hour and a half of your life you get back every single day.
Over a year, that is hundreds of hours.
Hundreds of hours. So when a company tries to force people back into the office full time, they are essentially stealing hundreds of hours of free time from their employees.
Yeah. Well, like that, it's no wonder people get so angry.
Yeah, that is exactly why it feels like an 8% pay cut.
It makes complete sense why people react so negatively to those return to office mandates. And I think it leads directly into this incredible 2024 study that was published in the journal Nature.
Oh, the Nature study is brilliant.
Yeah, they wanted to see what actually happens to a company when they embrace this hybrid model instead of fighting it. So they ran a massive randomized trial.
And the results were incredibly clear.
They really were. The study showed that a hybrid schedule cuts employee turnover by 33%.
Turnover, meaning, the rate at which people quit and have to be replaced.
Right, and a 33% reduction is just a staggering number for any business.
It is huge. 1/3 fewer people walking out the door.
If you are a manager listening to this, think about the headache of hiring.
Oh, it's the worst.
It really is. You have to post the job, interview 10 different people, train the new person, and then wait like 6 months for them to actually be useful.
And hybrid work prevents a huge amount of all that pain.
Yeah. And the best part of the Nature study was that giving people this flexibility didn't hurt their performance at all.
Well, we do need to pause on the word performance, though.
Oh, why is that?
Because this is where the data gets incredibly nuanced. Productivity is not just one simple thing.
Okay, fair enough.
You cannot measure a modern knowledge worker the same way you measure a machine in a factory.
Right, I'm not just stamping out metal parts all day.
Exactly. So the researchers use something called the task type framework to explain this.
The task type framework. Okay, let's break that down. How does that framework actually help us understand performance?
So it separates the different types of work we do into specific categories. For example, think about individual focused tasks.
Okay, so like when I am writing a complex report.
Yes. Or coding a software program, or maybe analyzing a giant spreadsheet full of data. For these specific solo tasks, the research shows that remote work actually boosts productivity by 10 to 13%.
I can completely validate that from my own life, honestly.
I think most of us can.
Yeah, if I have to write something difficult, the office is just the worst place in the world.
Too many distractions.
Exactly. Someone is always walking by to ask a quick question. Or there's a super loud conversation happening right near the coffee machine.
It completely breaks your flow.
It does. But at home, I can just put on my headphones, stare at my screen, and get it done. So a 10 to 13% boost makes total sense to me.
Your home provides the isolation necessary for deep focus. But, the task type framework also points out the dark side of that exact same isolation.
The dark side. Like what?
Well, what happens when the task is not individual? What happens when the task requires creative collaboration or brainstorming or mentoring someone?
I imagine the computer screen becomes a bit of a barrier.
It absolutely does. The data reveals that when teams try to generate creative ideas virtually over a video call, they actually produce about 20% fewer ideas.
Wow, 20% fewer. Just because it's on video?
Yes. The natural flow of conversation is just interrupted. You can't read body language as easily.
And there's always that weird audio lag where people talk over each other.
Right. The spontaneous moments where one person says something weird and it sparks a great idea for someone else, those moments just disappear when everyone is neatly organized into little squares on a screen.
Yeah, a 20% drop in ideas is a really big penalty if your company relies on innovation.
It is a massive penalty.
And I saw in the research that this drop in effectiveness hits one specific group of people, much harder than anyone else.
Yes, the juniors, the entry-level workers.
Right, the young people just starting out.
The data shows that junior workers who are fully remote develop their professional skills 20 to 30% slower than those who are actually in the office.
That is just a massive penalty for being young and new to the job. I mean, developing 30% slower could ruin the trajectory of your entire career.
It really could.
Why is the penalty so high for them specifically?
Because they miss out on learning by osmosis.
Learning by osmosis, like just absorbing information from the air.
Exactly. When you are new, you don't just learn from reading official training manuals. You learn by sitting next to a senior employee and watching how they handle a really difficult phone call.
Oh, I see.
You learn by asking a quick 2-minute question over the desk. But in a fully remote environment, a junior employee has to formally schedule a video meeting just to ask a simple question.
And no one wants to do that. It feels like you're bothering them.
Right, it feels like an interruption. So they often choose not to ask the question at all. They get stuck, and their development just slows way down.
So the hybrid model is essentially a giant compromise.
Yeah.
We stay home, do the focused, head-down work, and we go into the physical office to brainstorm and help the new people learn.
That is the perfect balance, yes.
But you know, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
If remote work is so amazing for those focused tasks, and it completely eliminates the miserable morning traffic, doesn't fully remote work mean total freedom?
It certainly sounds like it.
It sounds like the ultimate dream. You just sit on your couch, you do your focused work, and you control your entire environment. Why wouldn't everyone want that?
It looks like a dream from the outside, but the data reveals what researchers have named the isolation trap.
Yeah, isolation trap.
Yeah, and this is one of the most profound paradoxes in all of the 2026 data.
Okay, break this paradox down for me.
On one hand, fully remote workers report the absolute highest levels of engagement with their specific work tasks. About 31% report high engagement.
Okay, so they are locked in. They're very focused on getting their actual jobs done.
Yes, they are super engaged with the screen, but paradoxically, they have the lowest thriving score.
Lowest thriving score.
Yes, only 36% of fully remote workers say they are thriving in their overall life. Furthermore, they report the highest levels of daily stress out of any group, hitting 45%.
Wait, highest stress? That goes against literally everything we just talked about.
I know, it's counterintuitive.
If you are avoiding the commute, avoiding the annoying office politics, and working from your own comfortable living room, where is all that stress coming from?
The primary source is loneliness.
Loneliness.
The Gallup data from 2025 is very, very clear on this. 26% of fully remote workers report significant daily loneliness.
Wow, over a quarter of them.
Yes. Compare that to hybrid workers who sit at just 12%.
That's less than half the loneliness rate.
Exactly. When you never see your colleagues, you lose a fundamental human connection. You are highly engaged with a computer program, but you are completely disconnected from human beings.
You lose the casual friendships, the shared complaints about the boss, all of it.
Right. You lose the feeling of belonging to a tribe.
So it's the difference between just doing tasks and actually having a work life. Working from a laptop in an empty apartment day after day suddenly sounds much less glamorous.
It really can be tough on mental health.
And this flexibility does not impact everyone equally, does it? I noticed the research highlighted a specific study from the UK that looked at the gender dynamics of all this.
Yes, the UK cohort studies provided some of the most vital insights we have on this entire topic.
What were they looking at exactly?
They examined the relationship between remote work, gender, and mental health. And they discovered a phenomenon they call the flexibility paradox.
The flexibility paradox. This is fascinating. Let's really unpack the mechanics of this.
Yeah.
What did this UK study actually find?
Well, they started with an economic finding. The data showed that women who work from home actually earn higher hourly wages compared to women who work entirely in the employer's office.
Honestly, that sounds like a massive win. Economically, working from home helps these women earn more money.
It is an economic win. The theory is that remote work allows women to maintain their higher level career positions because they can organize their hours more flexibly.
Right. They don't have to quit a demanding, high-paying job just because they also have family duties.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the paradox. The study did not just measure money. They also measured mental health outcomes, specifically looking at anxiety and psychological distress.
Okay.
And they found that women working a hybrid schedule reported the worst mental health outcomes.
The worst. Wait a second.
Yeah.
But we just spent the last 20 minutes establishing that hybrid is the ultimate winner. We said it has the lowest loneliness, it balances focus and collaboration, it cuts turnover.
We did say all that.
So how can it cause the absolute worst mental health for this specific group?
Because for many women, the hybrid model creates an impossible, continuous juggling act.
A juggling act.
The sociological reality is that women still carry a significantly heavier burden of caregiving and household responsibilities in most families.
Right, that is just the reality of the data.
So when you work in a traditional office, there is a clear physical boundary. You leave the house, you go to the office, you are purely a worker.
Then you come home and you are a parent or a partner.
Exactly. The physical travel creates a mental boundary. But when a woman is working a hybrid schedule, those boundaries just collapse.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Imagine a Tuesday afternoon. She is trying to lead a crucial video presentation for her company while simultaneously trying to keep a toddler quiet in the next room.
While also noticing that the laundry needs to be done.
Yes, she is trying to do 2 full-time jobs at the exact same moment in the exact same physical space.
That sounds incredibly stressful.
It is. The intense pressure of trying to perform professionally while managing the domestic environment leads to severe psychological distress.
That paints such a clear picture. The flexibility allows her to keep the high-paying job, which is obviously good, but the cost of that flexibility is like a constant low-level panic.
Yes, you are never fully at work, and you are never fully at rest. The boundaries are completely blurred.
Wow. So if we look at the location debate as a whole, we see that hybrid work is the definitive winner for the economy.
Without a doubt. It gives businesses the productivity and retention they need.
But on a human level, it is clearly not a perfect magic trick. We have to actively manage these severe risks.
Absolutely. We have to watch out for the isolation trap if we are fully remote, and we have to fiercely protect our boundaries if we are hybrid.
So we don't end up exhausted by the flexibility paradox.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, so we have solved the geography problem. We know that the hybrid mix is where we are going to stay.
Yeah.
But fixing where we sit clearly did not stop the burnout.
Not at all.
People were still stressed, they were still tired, and the boundaries were still a mess. And that is because the geography was really only half the equation.
The other half is the time.
Right, the real culprit was the clock. Once people realized they didn't have to sit in an office for 5 days, they immediately started asking, why are we working for 5 days at all?
Which brings us to the most radical shift in the 2026 data, the time debate. Specifically, the revolution of the 4-day work week.
I remember when this first started making headlines, it sounded like a pure fantasy. But before we get into the incredible results of the global trials, we really have to clarify something important.
Yes, we need definitions here.
Because the term 4-day work week gets thrown around a lot, and companies use it to mean very, very different things.
That is a critical distinction to make. A lot of companies claim they offer a 4-day schedule, but what they're actually doing is a compressed work week.
Right, and a compressed work week is just taking the traditional 40 hours of labor and squeezing it into fewer days.
You work 4 days, but you are working brutal 10-hour shifts each day.
Which sounds awful.
The data on compressed work weeks is generally very negative. It is physically and mentally exhausting. By the 9th or 10th hour of a shift, your cognitive ability just drops sharply.
You make mistakes.
You make huge mistakes. Furthermore, it creates a nightmare for parents. Daycare centers and schools do not operate on 10-hour schedules.
Oh, that's so true. If you have to work from 8:00 a.m. to 6:00 p.m., who is picking up the kids at 3:00?
Exactly. It completely breaks the family routine. So the compressed schedule is a false solution.
So what is the real solution?
The true 4-day work week. In the research, this is defined by a very specific formula. It's called the 100.80.100 model.
The 100.8.100 model. Let's explain how this magic formula actually functions.
Okay, so the first 100 stands for your pay. You receive 100% of your normal salary.
There are absolutely no pay cuts.
No pay cuts. The 80 stands for your time. You only work 80% of your normal hours.
Which means 32 hours instead of 40.
Right. You get a full, genuine extra day off. And the final 100 stands for output. You are expected to deliver 100% of your usual results, goals, and productivity.
Full pay, less time, same results. It sounds entirely too good to be true.
It does sound like magic, doesn't it?
But we finally have the global proof that this model actually functions in the real world. This isn't just a handful of trendy tech startups trying it out anymore.
The trials have been massive.
The pioneer here was Iceland, right?
Yes, Iceland led the way. They started running trials back in 2015 and kept going until 2019.
And by the end, the trial covered more than 1% of their entire working population.
For a national experiment, covering 1% of the population is an incredibly robust sample size.
It's huge, and across all industries too, right?
Yes, hospitals, offices, schools, and the results were overwhelmingly positive for both worker well-being and actual productivity.
But the data that really solidifies this for us in 2026 comes from the more recent global trials. Researchers at Boston College led a massive coordinated study involving 141 companies across 6 different countries.
It was a monumental study.
Almost 3,000 employees participated in a strict 6-month trial of that true 100.80.100 model. And the outcomes are just staggering. After the trial ended, 90% of those companies chose to keep the policy permanently.
90% retention. That proves that it wasn't just a fun experiment for them, it became a core business strategy.
And here is the statistic that absolutely blew my mind. Company revenue during the trial actually rose by 35% compared to the same period in the previous year.
This is where we really have to stop and analyze the mechanics.
We do, because my brain cannot accept that math at first glance. How is it physically possible to work 8 hours less every single week and make 35% more money?
It goes against everything we're taught.
It is like telling someone they're going to eat 20% fewer calories but gain 35% more muscle, or trying to fit a 5-day diet into 4 days.
It sounds stressful.
If you tell me I only have 32 hours to do 40 hours of tasks, I am not going to be relaxed. I am going to be running around in a total panic trying to squeeze everything in.
Well, your diet analogy is good, but it assumes the original 5-day diet was actually healthy and efficient.
Was it not?
No. The secret to the 4-day work week is not speed. The secret is a concept researchers call work reorganization.
Work reorganization. Okay, so we aren't just running faster on the exact same hamster wheel.
Exactly. We are changing the wheel itself.
What does work reorganization actually look like inside these companies?
Well, it means the entire company has to confront how much time they waste. When you take away 20% of the available time, it creates a hard constraint.
And constraints force you to make choices.
They force ruthless prioritization. The very first thing these companies did was cut out low-value meetings.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
The endless hour-long status updates that could have just been a quick email.
Precisely. If you only have 4 days, you cannot afford to sit in a room for an hour listening to people talk about what they're going to do. You have to actually just go do it.
So true.
So meetings were shortened from 60 minutes down to 20 minutes. Only essential people were invited.
And beyond meetings.
Beyond meetings, leaders clarified priorities. In a normal 5-day week, workers waste hours doing busy work.
Making spreadsheets look pretty.
Yes, organizing digital folders, doing tasks that don't actually generate any real value for the company.
They just do it because they have to look busy until 5:00 p.m. on Friday.
Exactly. But under the 100.80.100 model, the goal is the output, not the hours. Companies gave workers more autonomy to manage their own schedules and find the most efficient way to complete the actual goals. They completely trimmed the fat from the workday.
So because they stripped away all the useless administrative bloat, people weren't panicking. They were just doing the real work.
That's right.
And the Boston College data proves this, right? The researchers found that stress didn't spike at all. Stress actually fell dramatically.
Burnout decreased significantly.
Employees reported far fewer sleep problems, and they felt a much greater sense of what the researchers call workability, meaning they felt mentally and physically capable of doing their jobs well.
Think about it. When you have 3 full days to rest, recover, and manage your personal life, you return to work with a fully charged battery.
You are sharper.
You are much sharper. You make better decisions, and you work with far greater intensity. That is exactly how revenue goes up while hours go down.
If the data is this incredibly positive, happier workers, less stress, 35% more revenue, it begs a very obvious question.
Why isn't everyone doing it?
Exactly. Why hasn't every single company on Earth adopted this? Why is this still considered a revolution rather than just standard practice everywhere?
Research from the MIT Sloan Management Review points directly at the primary obstacle, and it is leadership mindset.
So the barrier is not the math.
No, the barrier is psychology. Specifically, the old school mindset of managers who equate hours logged with productivity.
The idea that if I can see you sitting at your desk looking stressed, you must be working hard.
Yes. For 100 years, management has been based on surveillance and time. If a manager's entire identity and sense of control is based on watching people work for 40 hours, the 100.80.100 model feels deeply threatening to them.
Because they have to let go of that control.
It requires a massive leap of trust. You'd have to trust your employees to get the job done, and you have to judge them solely on the quality of their results, not the time it took to achieve them.
Which is hard for a lot of old school bosses.
Very hard. If the cultural signal from the leadership still rewards the person who stays late at the office, the policy will fail. The culture has to change before the schedule can change.
It is a total shift from managing time to managing outcomes. And what is so fascinating about this shift is that the benefits don't stop when you leave the office.
They ripple out everywhere.
They really do. The research shows some incredible ripple effects in the broader world. Let's talk about the environmental impact first, because this was a huge surprise to me.
It is a remarkable secondary benefit. One major analysis in the research showed that cutting work hours by 25% could result in a 36.6% reduction in our carbon footprint.
A 36.6% reduction. That is a massive climate victory hidden inside a basic labor policy.
It is huge.
How does the mechanics of that work? How does one day off cut carbon so drastically?
Well, it happens on multiple levels. First, you instantly eliminate 20% of the commuting traffic. Fewer cars on the road obviously means fewer emissions.
That part is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Second, think about the massive office buildings in our cities. If a company physically closes its doors on Fridays, they power down the heavy air conditioning, the heating, the servers, and all the lights.
Oh, the energy savings for a whole skyscraper must be wild.
Incredible savings. But it actually goes deeper than that. When people work less, the entire economy's energy consumption slows down slightly.
What do you use?
People have more time to walk or ride a bike instead of driving everywhere in a frantic rush. They have time to cook a meal instead of ordering delivery, which, requires packaging and transport.
I see.
The overall pace of life slows down, and a slower life is fundamentally a greener life.
That is just incredible. And the second surprising benefit happens inside the home. The trials showed some really interesting shifts in family dynamics, specifically around gender roles.
This connects directly back to the flexibility paradox we discussed earlier, where women were suffering from juggling work and home duties.
Right, the impossible juggling act.
The 4-day workweek trials showed that on their extra day off, men started taking on a significantly greater share of the housework and childcare.
So when men had a free Friday, they didn't just go play golf all day. They actually started doing the laundry and taking the kids to the park.
Exactly. When the relentless pressure of the 5-day grind is lifted, it gives everyone more space to actually contribute to the household.
It helps balance things out.
It does. It helps balance the unpaid labor that traditionally falls so heavily on women. A shorter work week gives people the bandwidth to be human beings, to be partners, and to be parents, not just economic units.
It gives us time to do things that have immense human value, even if they have zero economic value. It is such a hopeful vision.
It really is.
So let's look at the puzzle we've built so far. We have optimized the location with hybrid work. We have optimized the time with the true 4-day work week.
But there's one final piece.
Yes, the final massive piece to this 2026 landscape. We've fixed the where and the when, but the actual tasks we are doing, the what, is fundamentally shifting.
Because of the who.
Exactly. And that is because of who we are doing the work with. We are transitioning from human policies to technological integration. We're talking about artificial intelligence as our new colleague.
AI is absolutely everywhere in the 2026 data. It is the inescapable reality of the modern office.
It really is. But to really understand what is happening, I feel like we need to get past the science fiction fears of robots taking over the world.
To do that, we rely on a brilliant 2025 study by a researcher named Margaret. This study provides the essential framework for understanding how AI is completely different from the technologies of the past.
Technologies like what?
Like factory robots or assembly lines. Margaret argues that we must differentiate between two distinct concepts: automating versus augmenting.
Automating versus augmenting. This sounds like the key to everything with AI. Let's break down the mechanics of this difference.
Okay, let's look at the past. Think about a robotic arm being introduced into a car manufacturing plant in the 1980s.
Okay, a big metal robot arm.
That technology was designed for automation. Its entire purpose was to take over a routine, physical task like welding a door onto a car.
And it displaced the human worker doing that manual labor.
Yeah.
The human was removed from the process entirely.
Exactly. The machine replaces the muscle. But AI is fundamentally different. AI does not target physical labor. It targets cognitive, non-routine, analytical tasks. It is designed for augmentation.
Augmentation. Meaning it adds to the human, it enhances the human, rather than pushing the human out the door entirely.
Yes. Augmentation is like a partnership. The human provides the goal, the context, and the final judgment. And the AI provides the raw processing power.
It helps you analyze a massive data set in seconds.
Or it helps you write a clearer email. It helps you organize chaotic thoughts into a structured plan. Automation displaces jobs, but augmentation creates new capabilities and entirely new types of work.
Like AI prompt engineers who specialize in just asking the machine the right questions. And the productivity gains we're seeing from this augmentation are just staggering. It is what researchers are calling the productivity paradox.
Let's talk about the numbers.
Yeah, the Stanford AI Index report measured this in real workplaces. They found that in fields like customer support and software development, integrating AI brings a 14 to 26% boost in overall productivity.
A 26% boost is revolutionary for an industry. But the most important question is, who exactly is getting that boost?
And this is the crazy part. The biggest improvements do not go to the veterans. They do not go to the senior experts who have been doing the job for 20 years.
No, they don't.
A specific study on customer support agents showed a massive 34% improvement for low-skilled or entry-level workers.
Let's examine why that happens.
Well, think about it. If I am a brand new customer support agent, I usually have to put a customer on hold, search through a massive database, ask my manager a question, and then finally give the answer.
It takes forever when you're new.
But with AI, it acts like an expert sitting on my shoulder. It listens to the customer, instantly searches the database, and types the perfect answer on my screen.
It makes a beginner perform exactly like a veteran.
It completely levels the playing field.
It acts as an incredible accelerator for baseline skills. But we have to look at the broader systemic implications of that acceleration.
Well, let me challenge this with a theory then.
All right.
If AI is making lower-skilled or entry-level workers perform like seasoned experts, it's like we just gave a beginner a superpowered electric bicycle.
I like that analogy.
Right. They aren't just pedaling faster. They are suddenly keeping pace with a senior developer driving a sports car because the AI is auto-correcting their balance and choosing the optimal route.
Okay, so what's the theory?
If I am a company CEO, shouldn't I be hiring way more juniors than ever? I can pay them entry-level salaries, put them on the AI bicycle, and get expert-level results.
That is the logical assumption to make. But the hard data reveals a very dark side to this productivity boost.
Oh no, what's the dark side?
Let's look closely at the software development industry. We established that AI gives software developers a huge 26% productivity gain.
Right.
But when we look at the employment numbers for 2024, the employment of U.S. software developers aged 22 to 25 actually dropped by nearly 20%.
Dropped by 20%.
Yeah.
1 in 5 young developers lost their job or couldn't find one.
But they are more productive than ever with the AI. Why are they being cut?
Because you have to look at what happened to the senior developers in the sports cars.
Oh, wait.
The senior developers, augmented by AI, became so unbelievably fast and efficient that they simply didn't need junior developers anymore.
Wow.
Historically, senior staff would hand off the boring, routine coding tasks to the juniors so they could learn. Now, the senior developer just asks the AI to do the routine coding in 5 seconds.
So companies are anticipating massive workforce reductions because they simply need fewer people overall to achieve the exact same output.
Exactly. They don't hire the guy on the electric bicycle because the guy in the sports car can now comfortably drive 2 cars at once. That is a terrifying thought for anyone listening who is currently in college or just graduating. The traditional ladder to get into a professional industry has basically lost its bottom rungs.
It is a major issue.
How do you become a senior expert if no one will hire you as a junior to learn the ropes?
It is a structural crisis in the labor market. And unfortunately, that is not the only risk we face with AI. We also have to discuss the daily psychological toll of having AI in the workplace.
The psychological toll.
The research points to a sharp rise in what they call psychosocial hazards.
Psychosocial hazards. Okay, so we aren't talking about physical dangers like tripping over a wire or operating heavy machinery. We are talking about the mental toll, the psychological danger of the environment.
Yes, exactly.
What does a psychosocial hazard actually look like in 2026?
It looks like algorithmic management.
Algorithmic management.
When AI is integrated not just into the work itself, but into the management of the work, it can lead to intense micromanagement and a constant suffocating feeling of surveillance.
That sounds awful.
The data highlights the use of AI-enabled wearable sensors. These are badges or wristbands that can track a worker's physical movements, their tone of voice, how often they take a break, and even how fast they type.
All to optimize efficiency.
Yes, to squeeze every drop of efficiency out of them.
That sounds like a complete nightmare. It is like having an invisible robot boss, constantly breathing down your neck, measuring every second of your existence.
It strips away human dignity, and it creates enormous chronic stress. Furthermore, there is a hazard regarding the nature of the work itself.
What do you mean?
Well, if AI takes away our human autonomy and makes our tasks too simple, the work loses its fundamental meaning.
Wait, if my job gets easier, shouldn't I be happier? I think a lot of people would love an easier job.
Up to a point, yes, sure. But humans fundamentally need a sense of competence. We need to feel like we are solving puzzles and adding value.
That makes sense.
If your job is reduced to just staring at a screen and clicking approve on whatever the AI generates all day, you feel like a minor cog in a giant machine.
You lose the satisfaction of struggling with a complex problem and figuring it out yourself.
Exactly. The cognitive challenge is removed, and with it goes the pride in the work.
You become a robot supervisor instead of an actual creator. So how do we protect ourselves from this? Because AI is obviously not going away. It is embedded in everything now. How does the average worker survive this transition?
This brings us to a crucial initiative from the U.S. Department of Labor. In response to all these shifts, they released a comprehensive framework called AI literacy.
AI literacy.
They emphasize that every single worker, regardless of their industry, age, or job title, needs to develop baseline AI skills immediately.
It makes me think of computer literacy in the late 1990s. Back then, you had to learn how to use email and Microsoft Word if you wanted to survive in an office. Now, you just have to know how to navigate AI.
That is the exact parallel. And AI literacy is not about learning how to write complex code.
Okay, good, because I cannot code.
Most people can't. It is about understanding how to manage the unique risks of these systems. For example, workers need to know how to protect sensitive data.
Data protection is huge.
You need the literacy to understand that you should never, ever paste confidential company secrets or client information into a public AI chatbot.
Because that data is then absorbed by the system, right?
Yes. Anyone could access it.
You could accidentally leak a major corporate secret just by trying to get the AI to summarize a meeting.
Exactly. Furthermore, AI literacy means understanding that these systems are not perfect truth machines. They can hallucinate.
They just make things up.
They invent fake numbers, they generate biased conclusions, or they just make really stupid mistakes. Therefore, human oversight is absolutely essential.
The machine is confident, but it isn't always right.
Precisely. The Department of Labor stresses one core principle above all else. Humans must maintain accountability.
Accountability.
The AI might draft the legal contract or write the marketing report or analyze the financial spreadsheet, but you are responsible for what it says.
Right. You cannot tell a judge or a client, oh, sorry, the AI made a mistake.
No, you are the human in the loop.
It's about knowing when to trust the immense power of the machine and when to pause and trust your own human judgment. And the only way to develop that judgment is to get your hands dirty and practice using these tools every day.
Active engagement is truly the only defense.
Okay, we have covered an unbelievable amount of ground today. We have traversed the entire landscape of 2026. Let's take a deep breath and summarize this journey, just to connect all the dots of this data for you listening at home.
Let's trace the path.
First, we looked at the geography, the where of work. We found that hybrid work is our stable, permanent base. It is an incredible compromise that gives us the deep focus we need at home and the creative, messy collaboration we need in the office.
But we also learn we have to actively fight the isolation trap if we are alone.
Right, and fiercely protect our mental boundaries if we are juggling home and work at the same time.
So we found the location and identified the human costs.
Then, we looked at the clock, the when of work. We saw the true 100.80.100 very zero work week moving from a radical idea to a proven global strategy.
It proved that if we aggressively reorganize our tasks, cut the useless meetings, and stop measuring hours sitting at a desk, we can produce the exact same results.
With less stress, a smaller carbon footprint, and better balance in our homes.
A total shift from measuring input to measuring outcomes.
And finally, we looked at the who. AI is our new permanent collaborator. It is an engine of augmentation, creating massive leaps in productivity.
But it is a double-edged sword.
It really is.
Yeah.
It is threatening the bottom rungs of the career ladder for juniors, and it is introducing new psychological pressures of surveillance and meaningless work if we don't demand autonomy and AI literacy.
When you look at all three of these massive shifts happening simultaneously, location, time, and technology, they're pointing us toward a radically different concept of a career.
A completely different concept.
The research outlines this in what they call the Maestro 2035 vision. It gives us a glimpse of where this is all heading in the next decade.
The Maestro 2035 vision. This is the perfect way to wrap up the deep dive. This vision basically says that the standard, lifelong, 9-to-5 job at a single company is slowly fading into history.
It is being replaced by hyper-flexibility and highly targeted skills. The 2035 vision predicts the massive rise of something called fractional leadership.
Fractional leadership. Let's explain the mechanics of that because it's a fascinating concept.
Sure.
Imagine a medium-sized company that desperately needs the strategic brain of a highly experienced chief financial officer. But they can't afford to pay a $400,000 salary for a full-time executive.
Most medium companies can.
So they hire a fractional CFO.
Yeah.
This expert comes in, works for the company just 1 or 2 days a week, fixes their strategy, and leaves.
The company gets the elite expertise without the massive overhead costs.
And what does the executive get?
The executive gets to build what the research calls a portfolio career.
A portfolio career.
Yes. Instead of climbing one single corporate ladder for 30 years, sweating over office politics, this person builds a portfolio of different clients, different projects, and different roles.
Oh, I see.
They might work 2 days for a tech startup, 1 day for a nonprofit, and spend 2 days writing a book.
It requires extreme agility. You are no longer hired to fill a static chair for 40 hours. You are hired purely to deploy your specific skills at a specific moment to solve a specific problem.
The relationship between corporations and human talent will become much more fluid, project-based, and outcome-driven.
It completely shatters the old way of thinking about your life. You are no longer defined by your job title at a specific corporation. You are defined by the unique human mix of skills, judgment, and creativity that you bring to the table. Which brings us to the end of our journey today.
And as we close, I want to leave everyone listening with a profound, perhaps challenging concept to ponder.
Ooh, okay.
It builds on everything we have discussed, but it looks at the philosophical core of our lives.
I'm ready. What is the final thought?
Think about the ultimate trajectory of this data. If AI continues to improve and successfully handles the heavy, cognitive, repetitive lifting of our daily tasks,
Right.
and if global trials continue to prove that we only need 4 days, or perhaps even 3 days, to achieve peak economic output, the very definition of the word work is going to undergo a seismic change.
Because work simply won't demand the vast majority of our waking hours or our mental energy anymore. It will shrink.
Exactly. For generations, for our parents and grandparents, what you do for a living has consumed the center of human existence.
You really have.
It has been the primary source of our daily structure, our primary community of friends, and the foundation of our personal identity. When you meet someone new, the first question is always, what do you do?
It is. Always.
But if that eventually stops being true, if work shrinks to just a small, highly efficient corner of your week, where will you find your core identity and purpose in the future?
Wow. If we are no longer defined primarily by what we do for money, who are we? Are we our hobbies, our communities, our families? That is a brilliant, heavy, and slightly terrifying question to carry with us.
It's a lot to think about.
It has been an absolutely incredible deep dive today. Thank you so much for joining us as we explore the 2026 future of work, the realities of remote life, the 4-day week, and our new AI colleagues. Stay curious, take a hard look at your own daily work habits, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.